Gotta go live, and we are live. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Geeks and Company. Another episode of the Geek Boutique podcast. Hey, listen, tonight's going to be a pretty chill one. We're live on Instagram, we're live on YouTube, we're live on Facebook, and really, we're just going to shoot the shit. I got no plan for tonight. We've got a theme to talk about the movies that made us, the movies from our childhood that we've enjoyed, that have sticked with us, in some cases even shaped who we became to be. But we're going to be taking it, like I said, very chill. I don't have 14 pages of note this time. Actually, I don't have any notes at all. I only have my list of movies. So we're going to be pretty chill. But before we get started, we've got a couple people with us tonight. Returning, as always, Mr. Messiah Complex Cosplay.
Oh.
Jeff, how are you? I'm running out of breath trying to say it. Like
I know. But you remembered this week. I'm so happy. Last week, you just skipped right over me.
I didn't. Last week, I was trying to do a nice intro that I actually wrote out for you.
Awful.
And you cut me before I got it out.
Lies, just to compound lies upon lies. That's okay. I'm just a piece of furniture. The very, very, very old piece of furniture. That's fine.
Well, I can't argue with the old part, but
dude, I've got like 3 years on you. What are you talking? You got more gray in your beard than I do. What are you?
Well, you know, just console yourself, Jeff. I'll never be as old as you are.
Wow. You'll be older when I'm dead. I like that.
Fair enough. Also joining us, Erica Adam, coming back for the second time. How are you, Erica?
There we go. Okay. With my lovely technical difficulties and my Caddyshack shirt, I'm prepared, sort of.
Wicked. So listen, there's going to be, I think, some movies that go without saying that we kind of talk about all the time. And maybe I should get this right out of the way. I'm pretty sure that Jeff also has these on his list. Star Wars 4, 5, 6. I think anybody from our generation. Yeah, I mean, look, everybody. Yeah, we all grew up Star Wars fans. We talk about Star Wars all the time. I don't know that I want to get into a whole discussion on Star Wars. Let's skip over that one. For me, anyway, one of the big series of movies that really got me not just into movies but into sci-fi-ish movies was the Back to the Future series. I probably have seen the Back to the Future movies more times than I can count. I'm assuming both of you are well versed on Back to the Future Part 1, 2, and 3.
I don't know that I've ever watched 3.
Really?
I feel like number 1 is like Jurassic Park. It's like the perfect film. Like there's literally nothing wrong with it from the start to the finish. And I feel like number 2 kind of fell off a cliff as far as that goes. There were a lot of aspects of 2 that I liked, but it did not remotely live up to number 1. And I don't think I ever actually got around to watching 3. I know it's in the Old West. I know there's a train, but I don't think I've ever actually sat down and watched it start to finish, man. I'm not going to lie to you.
You should.
Probably.
It's better than 2. It's way better than 2.
Okay, well that's good.
2 tried to play off of 1, where 3 is really its own thing.
Okay.
It's not about going back to the first movie and blah blah. No, it's its own thing. It's in a different time frame. We get a new-ish DeLorean. There's a new time machine at the end.
Well, don't spoil it. I just said I hadn't watched it.
Listen, you got to go back and watch it. Erica, tell me you've watched 1, 2, and 3.
I absolutely have, but I might be on Jeff's case in that I think the only one I've rewatched is the first one.
Really? Interesting. Well.
I know the second one has birthed some memes as well for hologram, like future stuff and the shoes and this hover, like everything. Like I get that part of it, but yeah, man, that first movie. It's like Jurassic Park too, right? I find the same way. Like once you hit that high pinnacle right off the jump, like everything is downhill from there, unfortunately. So, but it's good that you can see the third one as like its own thing.
Mm-hmm.
Even though you're lumping it into the same series, it's good that you can see that third one kind of like how it stands alone. Like I'm good with that, but I just never sat down to watch it. So
yeah, it does. I mean, it starts right where the part 2 ends, but the story is independent of 1 and 2, so you can really watch it on its own.
Well, I wanted to make sure, and that's why I was talking to you earlier. I wanted to make sure we got someone like Erica on, who's not just like a massive movie buff, but is not in our age group, in our demographic, like the movies that shaped us. And don't get me wrong, I know Erica well enough to know there are some, look at her shirt, there are some classic movies that she likes, but still, what is going to, because you just said Star Wars 4, 5, and 6, and for Erica, it might be Star Wars 1, 2, and 3. Like, you don't.
Fair enough.
Generationally, I wanted to make sure we had a more diverse playing field when talking about movies, and it's just two old cis white guys 3 years apart from each other talking about the exact same movies we talk about every week. So no pressure.
As a young cis white woman, I hate to say that all of the Star Wars movies were influential because 1, 2, and 3 are still too old for me. And therefore I
Thanks, Erica.
all together.
Thanks, Erica.
Your time here is done. Boot her out. I'm not getting any echo when you're off mute, Erica. Take yourself off mute for a second, and we'll just do some chit chatting and see if like your computer audio.
Like off mute on the both of them could be problematic, but let's see. How's this now? I've moved my phones from my microphone, so I'm hoping that's
testing
helpful.
1, 2, 3 testing.
Yeah, I don't hear the echo at all.
I'm not getting an echo, so I think we're okay.
So whatever.
I've got a nice, expensive microphone for my computer, so I'm going to thank my parents for buying that 10 years ago, and
Sweet.
Oh, that's it.
Well, there you go.
Yeah,
perfect. Perfect. Before we move on to the, I'm hearing the echo now. Before we move on to either of our next movies, have you guys watched the She-Hulk trailer?
I did.
Yes, I have.
What did you guys think?
I think the potential. I think the potential. So here's the thing: Orphan Black is one of my favorite shows of all time. Like, I fell in love with that show. The concept. I fell in love with Tatiana Maslany on that show and the different roles she played. So I love her. I haven't watched the new Perry Mason. I heard she is in that and plays a bigger role in that. So I do want to watch that at some point. But man, that CGI is dodgy as fuck. It does not look good. And I know it's not coming out till August, and it's only May. So I'm hoping they have some time to clean it up, but I didn't realize she would be fully rendered CGI. I thought they would just find a lady bodybuilder essentially and then just paste her face on it, and that doesn't look like what they've done. It looks like they've just CGI'd her head to toe, and yeah, it doesn't work. It's some serious uncanny valley bullshit going on there. Conceptually, though,
it's the first trailer,
for
exactly, because I feel like treating it like a Lou Ferrigno and just pasting her over somebody bigger would be the smarter and more cost-effective way to go, but maybe they haven't cast that person yet, and or they haven't finished that. This is a stand-in. You're right, it was a rough watch. I know my roommate Megan had mentioned that she liked the concept because it made it seem a little bit more like a comic book, which, if I look at it that way, that might make it a little bit more watchable if that ends up being the final render, but I'm hoping that's just an early trailer. Although I'm a little, as a woman who gets offended about things like this, I feel like maybe it's a little annoying considering every time we would see an Avengers trailer or a Hulk trailer, the CGI, I know it's a movie, it's a different situation, but they have the budget. The CGI immediately was done well, or done well enough that you could get an idea for their first trailers of what it was going to look like. But we get a TV show and they just don't seem to care enough about what they're putting out.
Well, here's the sad part. Hulk still looks good in the trailer. Like, he looks like he's rendered fine. He looks like he's rendered directly from the movies. It's just her render that's terrible. So yeah, I don't blame you for being mad, because that's bullshit.
She looks like a comic book character in a not pleasant way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I agree 100%. The trailer itself, I'm going to back up a quick second here. And actually, Eric, I'm going to put you on mute here for a little bit because I can hear myself talking. I don't know a ton about She-Hulk. The little bit that I know about She-Hulk came from some of the animated stuff that I've seen on TV, and some like cameo type appearances in other books. And the way that I've always seen her portrayed was she was always She-Hulk. She never turns back into, is it Jennifer Walters? Is that what her name is? She's always She-Hulk. And they've always made her very, I don't want to say funny in the sense that she's silly, but very quirky and snippy, and so she's a little bit more on the humorous side.
And that's my understanding is this is a comedy.
Yes, so I feel like they caught that in the show. Well, in the trailer anyway, they make it look like it's going to be a funny show. But it looks like she is going back between being She-Hulk and Jennifer Walters, or whatever her name is. So that's a little weird. And yeah, the CG. I'm wondering if it's the reason why it doesn't look right. And we were starting to have that discussion a little bit earlier, Jeff, is the face. I feel like because the face animation looks so off, it makes everything else look off. But maybe. With Hulk, they've been animating his face for 15 years. So they know how to animate his face, specifically Mark Ruffalo's face. They've been animated now for, 8 years, 10 years? They've been animating Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk. So I feel like if they're using like a deep fake style technology because when you look at the Hulk, it is Mark Ruffalo.
Right.
I don't know that it's her. Like when you're looking at the CG, it doesn't really quite look like her yet. So it doesn't feel like they have the face worked out quite yet.
Maybe.
So I'm hoping that will get better by the time the show airs. My concern is with CG being so expensive and with Mark Ruffalo basically coming out one day saying, we're not going to get a Hulk TV show. It's going to be too expensive to have the Hulk in CG in every episode. Are they cheaping out on the CG just to make it affordable to make a show? That's my concern.
So Loki Quinn is saying, I read some of the comics when I was younger, and she did switch between She-Hulk and Jennifer.
Okay, see, I didn't realize that. I've always only seen her as She-Hulk.
Yeah. Nope, that's fair. There have been times where that's happened. It's even happened in the movies now, too, but there have been times where that's happened with Banner as well, right? Like, he'll get stuck as Hulk for years in the comics before he gets back to being both or whatever, so...
I also have... I was watching somebody else's review yesterday of the trailer. He made a good point. She-Hulk was kind of created to mirror Hulk. He was the Hulk smash. She was the lawyer. Right. He was the out-of-control monster. She was, I'm going to do this classy, right? But now with Professor Hulk being Professor Hulk, well, it kind of defeats her purpose a little bit. You know what I mean? It kind of dilutes her character a little bit.
Maybe this will be the tool used to revert Hulk back to being Hulk smash. Maybe
I kind of hope so. I kind of hope so. Yeah, I'm kind of done with the whole Professor Hulk thing myself, but... Erica, I believe you can unmute yourself whenever you want to. Even though I muted you, I'm pretty sure you can click the mute button and unmute yourself.
There you go. I can. I'll be honest, you're saying all the points I was going to make anyway.
Well, there you go.
I hope that this is what gets us back to a human Banner for a little while, or the switch back and forth between.
Mm-hmm.
And I am also afraid that they are cheaping out on it in order to create this TV show, especially given how much they've proved their budget in the last year. So.
Hang on, but the post-credit scene in Shang-Chi, he's back to Banner.
He is, with a sling. So does this happen before Shang-Chi?
They don't define a timeline, I don't believe, yet in this trailer anyway. I don't know if they've confirmed one yet at all.
What if this all happened? Yeah,
what if this would be like pre-blip?
Pre-blip. So in the 5-year period between... Well, we have nothing in that period.
Right.
Actually, that's not true.
When did Hawkeye post-blip? I didn't watch it.
Well, Hawkeye was post-blip. Well, it starts before, and anyway, it's post-blip. Because Yelena's back.
Dr. Hulk mashup, I believe, is post-blip as well, or I believe.
Well, the Professor Hulk thing happens when Endgame starts. He's already Professor Hulk. So when they bring everybody back, he's already Professor Hulk. So it has to be before Endgame.
Right, but Endgame starts post-blip, right? Doesn't it?
No, the blip happens. You're talking about the snap. The blip is when they come back. They come back at the end of Endgame.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Right. Yes.
I was thinking snap. Yeah.
You're thinking the snap where everybody disappears. No, it wouldn't be. It would be in that 5-year time span between the two, which would be cool. I would be up for that. Yeah, I would totally be up for that. Hawkeye was post Endgame. Yes.
Okay. I didn't know that yet.
Yes. Loki Quinn said, we need a chart, man, legend hero. Nick's like, we need a chart. Yeah, we need a chart to know. Like, right now, it's becoming confusing what's where.
I don't know whose idea was to jump the whole timeline 5 years ahead. It's just such a dumb idea.
Yeah.
What's funny is in the book series, because I haven't watched the whole of the TV series, and I know we're going off topic, and I apologize, but Game of Thrones, in the book series, that's what George R. R. Martin was going to do in the books. He was going to leap ahead 5 years so that the kids could get older without him having to detail all that. And he got halfway through writing the next book with his 5-year jump and realized he couldn't make it work because there'd be so many flashbacks and the timeline was all messed up. So he scrapped the whole thing and started over again. And that's when we got Dance with Dragons. And that's why that took like 11 years to produce or whatever. And I'm wondering if the same kind of thing is happening now. Whereas if they don't explicitly say, hey, this is happening pre or post, we don't know. Like Moon Knight. When does Moon Knight take place? Is it pre? Is it post? Is it during? Is there a reason why these events are happening and nobody else shows up to help? Or
yeah, we don't know. Yeah, you get two big Egyptian gods fighting over pyramids, and no Avenger shows up. Yeah, so I don't know.
Maybe they're too busy brooding and making sandwiches. I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, maybe that's going to be part of the whole deal, right? Maybe they're purposely not telling us when Moon Knight is happening because it might tie into something else later.
All right, I feel like we should go back on topic with movies.
Yes. So, yes, Jeff, your turn.
No, I want Erica to go next because you said Back to the Future. So let's get the millennial in here to give us her thoughts.
I think that's problematic. Problematic because a lot of the movies I'm going to bring up are movies that are older and probably influential for you guys too.
Well, that's okay.
The Caddyshack shirt. That was a big influence for me. Jeff and I have bonded over that movie in particular. I think is maybe the main reason we're friends. But if I think about the number one, just to get it off the table, Grease was the first movie I remember watching.
Yes.
Probably the movie I've watched more times than anything else. And I have deep memories and associations tied to that movie. And it's shaped a lot of my decisions in terms of fashion and life, etc.
Funny enough, I went to a Star Trek convention in Toronto years and years and years ago. I was there working the dealer room. I was selling computer software, and Jeff Conway was there. And he was there because he was on a sci-fi show at the time called Babylon 5, and he had like a recurring, guest star role on that. But every single person that was there to talk to him about Grease. They had albums for him to sign. They had movies for him to, like, everything was Grease, 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 Grease. It was so funny that he kept on wanting to talk about the show he was on, and no one would let him because only people wanted to talk about Grease. I don't remember his character's name on the.
Who was this?
In Grease, Jeff Conway was Kinnicky. Kinnicky, sorry, with a K. Yeah, it was the same thing when John Travolta came to Fan Expo for the last Fan Expo. He was there promoting the series that he was in, where he was playing, I think, an obsessed stalker or something like that. He was committed. He shaved his head for the role and everything.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Everyone in line with me was there with either a face-off DVD for some reason or with a Grease DVD. I was there with my Travolta Fever album to get signed, so it was a little different, but same era as Grease because nobody wanted to talk about it.
Isn't that when you had your badass Sif costume and nobody got to see it because you spent 8 hours in line waiting to talk to
I spent 8 hours in line. They weren't going to refund. It was the last day of the convention. And I was going to get that autograph. So I waited for 8 hours straight in my
shame
costume that I spent 30 hours.
I was just going to say, I still have never seen it on you. I've only seen pictures. I'm like, that's really badass. Why didn't anybody see her in that? Turns out that's why nobody saw you in that. Except for people that were in the John Travolta lineup. They all saw you in it.
Yeah. People came by to bring me rations and tell me of the things that were happening throughout the day.
All these fun things that you're not getting to do.
Yeah, Alex Farquaad came to wait with me, keep me company periodically in shifts. It was
nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Everybody takes turns.
Everybody wanted to talk about Grace.
Yeah. No, that's cool.
Loki Queen Cosplay says, me too, Erica. Love Grease. Jennifer says, yes, movie musicals are amazing. Well, some of them.
There's our friend Tim, Black Captain Kirk. How you doing, Tim?
Erica, I have to ask. When I was doing my research for our conspiracy theory episode a few weeks ago, I came across a Grease conspiracy theory that says that the whole movie is Sandy's flashing before her eyes as she's drowning in the water.
Yeah, they're dying.
And that as she's drowning at the beginning of the movie, she never actually gets out. And her flying off in the car at the end into the clouds with John Travolta is her actually dying. Do you believe in that conspiracy theory at all?
So I've heard that one, and I'm pretty sure the main point of basis that everybody uses is the fact that the car flies away at the end of the movie into the sky, and therefore it can't be real. Except I would like to point out that earlier in the movie, we have a scene entirely unrelated to Sandy where Frenchie gets sung to by a literal angel with a bunch of hair goddesses around them. And that is something that would be entirely fantastical, because I think if it were supposed to be about her, on her way towards death, the entire movie would be centered around her perspective and things that are happening to her. And we have multiple scenes that don't involve her at all, including some really weird and fantastical stuff too. So to the theory, let a movie be a movie. It's just fun. There's 35-year-olds playing high school students, man. I don't know what else you want from me. You can't.
Yeah, that's not weird at all, eh? A bunch of like grown men and women playing high school kids. Yeah. Chibi Barra has joined us. Maxi Cosplay has joined us. Hello, everybody.
So a real quick fun aside fact about Jeff Conway is that in all of the previous Grease stage musicals, which had been done for a couple of years leading up to the movie making, Jeff Conway played Danny Zuko in all of the Broadway productions. I believe Broadway productions of it, or off Broadway anyway. And so he auditioned, I think he auditioned for the role like 2 times, and he just wouldn't get cast in the movie, and because they really, really wanted John Travolta. Like, he was this close, but they were determined because of Saturday Night Fever. So he got ousted down to Kinnicky, down to his be his second in that role, and I found that really sad and funny.
Well, and the funny part too was at that convention, all of the celebrity guests that were all Star Trek Babylon 5 or whatever, when it was time for their Q&A or their panel talk, they would just answer questions about the show or whatever. He got up on stage with a guitar and did like a 30-minute set of just a bunch of cool ass songs. He did. Yeah. So this is before all of his issues with the pain medication and everything else. This is like, oh my God, in the 90s it would have been that I would have been there. So like the late 90s, maybe early 2000s, before kids anyway. So yeah, dude. Yeah, it was interesting. He did, the only thing he didn't like was flash photography. He didn't want anybody taking flash photography. So everybody's pictures came out kind of dim and dark when they were with him. But other than that, yeah, he was super nice. He was super cool. I got a chance to talk to him a couple of times. He came down to the dealer room and we chatted with him when we were down there. So yeah, seemed like a really cool dude. So it's a shame what happened. Yeah.
I feel like a lot of celebrities, especially back in those days, had issues with flash photography. When Coke was rampant, people didn't like flash photography. I mean, put it that way.
Yeah.
Yes. Jeff.
The obvious one, which we've talked about before, I'm not going to pick. I'm going to pick the other one. So I don't know if you remember, JS, did you guys have First Choice and Super Channel out in Quebec? Do you remember the pay TV stations that came out?
So we did. Super Channel, you could only get it if you were on Bell, but yes, I remember. Yeah.
So laughably, so for our American friends, anybody that's watching up here in Canada, we don't really get any free channels per se. You might get 1 or 2 over an aerial or antenna, but we have to pay for any of our TVs. But they had an upper tier of channels called pay TV. This is such a stupid euphemism. And you could, if you knew the right people, get yourself a gray market box, or what we just called a cheater box back in the day, where you could access these pay channels for free. And when that happened, there were 2 movies that were playing pretty much constantly on First Choice at the time. One of them was Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, which is why I'm a massive Trekkie today. The other one is probably the single most influential film that I've ever seen, which is Ferris Bueller's Day Off. That movie for me was so transformative. My best friend at the time, Alan, looked exactly like Cameron, looked exactly like Alan Ruck, tall, thin, long face, wore hockey jerseys.
Did he have a Ferrari 255 California?
He did 250 GT. No, he did not, unfortunately.
Oh, it wasn't a California? It was a GT? I forget.
It was 250 GT California is what it is.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
No, you're right. Just that movie, and The Breakfast Club I could lump in there too. Like any of his films are all fantastic, but for me, Ferris Bueller's Day Off really hit me and spoke to me on so many different levels. I mean, no dude our age that watched that movie didn't want to be Ferris.
Yeah.
There's a band called Save Fair. Like that movie hit everybody like a ton of bricks, and it will forever be in my heart. It's one of those ones I call it up at least once a month to watch it. I can quote it verbatim. And it's perfect. And the soundtrack is good. Like everything about that, everybody's performances are awesome. It's so quirky, but still like not forcibly so. Like everything seems so. It's John Hughes, man. Like it's peak John Hughes. Like it's the best. That and The Breakfast Club for me are the two absolute best. I think they're the most guy of the ones as well. Weird Science, you could probably throw in there too. Although even he wasn't a big fan of Weird Science, but man, Ferris.
Weird Science was another one I loved.
I loved it too. He was like, it was pretty silly and pretty dumb, like Hughes himself. But I also loved Weird Science. But hello, Marianne, how are you? We're talking movies today.
Marianne's joined us.
Movies that were influential on in our little youthful minds.
I should have worn my Save Ferris t-shirt.
You absolutely should have.
Yeah.
That was another thing when my parents had the soundtrack and the DVD and the VHS, I think, as well. So it was a frequent watch, too. That was probably my most watched John Hughes movie, I think, of all of them. I mean, I love them all. I'm also just a fan of the recurring cast of the same people in all the movies. But,
so great.
That one has some difference. Like, it doesn't have as many repeats, which is nice. And it has a different feeling than all the rest of them.
I agree. Yeah, Pretty in Pink and 16 Candles for me, like a lot of the times I mix the two of them up because it's a lot of the same people doing the same thing. So, but yeah, Ferris kind of stands on its own. And to be fair, Weird Science does too because it's so weird. Jennifer is saying, as a female, it was Fried Green Tomatoes and A League of Their Own for me. The start of seeing strong women on screen for me. Hey man, I loved A League of Their Own. Like that was a great movie, fantastic movie, top to bottom.
She's gonna hate you. I don't remember Fried Green Tomatoes.
Yeah, she is gonna hate you. That's your girlfriend. You should probably.
What's that one about? Do you remember?
I don't know. It's very important to your lady friend there.
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up right now.
Yes. Hypergate saying I have the Rona, but otherwise I'm swell. Nostalgia films.
Oh no!
Best. How are you all? Miley says hi, Grandpa Jeff. Hello, Miley. Yes, we're just talking about films that were influential to us. JS brought up Back to the Future. For Eric, it was Grease, and for me so far it was Ferris Bueller's Day Off. And I believe it's JS's turn again to throw another movie out there for all us to gush over or hate, depending on what he says.
Yeah, so I kind of wanted to go to Star Trek after Star Wars. You've alluded to that. I feel like Star Trek is another one of those that is kind of a de facto nerd film, but Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters series, I still watch them regularly. Both 1 and 2, and now Afterlife. It's going to get added to my regular Ghostbusters rotation. It was also announced 2 weeks ago at CinemaCon that Afterlife is getting a sequel. So that's going to be amazing. I can't wait to see where they go from there because it was so good. Ghostbusters came in an era that I was not a big fan of SNL. So when that cast came out, I was too young to get it, and then I saw the movie, and then I got it. I don't even know how to explain it. Ghostbusters is one of those movies that I can almost recite line for line. It's a movie that has stuck with me my whole life, from how funny it was to the chemistry in the cast to the stories from behind the cameras, to the video game that came out many years ago. Ghostbusters in general, the franchise in general, I think for me, it's gonna stick with me for the rest of my life. I'm gonna watch that movie over and over again, especially the first one, until I die.
It's timeless. No question. Michael saying all the way May. Loki Quinn said can't buy me love. Shibibara saying we watched Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls a lot. And then Loki saying John Hughes is a legend. You are not wrong. Yeah, Ghostbusters, dude. It's time. In fact, I think one of the movie days we had, Erica, I think Ghostbusters, I think we watched it, did we not?
We did. It was a Bill Murray marathon, actually. And it ended with Ghostbusters. Yeah,
can't go wrong, man. So good.
Did you watch Scrooge?
Yes.
And
sorry, we didn't watch the marathon. I don't know if that was a general. No, not part of the marathon.
You're having a Bill Murray marathon and you're not watching Scrooged? Come on now. It's one of his best movies.
Well,
Next to
I mean,
Ghostbusters.
I would argue otherwise, but
I know you're a Caddyshack fan, so you know it is what it is.
We got in Caddyshack, we got in Ghostbusters, and we got in Meatballs. So that's if you find me a better Bill Murray triumvirate, I'll fight you because there isn't one. I have a lot of time before the show, so popped in to say hello. Yes, Michael will not be joining us this evening, he said, because he's got a concert to go to, and there he is joining us anyways. You can't stay away.
Very cool. Well, I hope you enjoy your concert. What's he seeing?
I don't know. I didn't ask because I'm a shit friend. I don't know.
Erica, what's next on your list?
Well, we already just covered it. Your discussion of Ghostbusters brought in what I would have otherwise brought up. Caddyshack and Meatballs are inseparable in my mind because when I was watching one, I was watching both. It was a big bonding point for my dad and I. We both really appreciated Bill Murray's humor. So
I think that's the law. I think that's contractual. I think you have to watch them both. I don't think you're allowed to just watch one and not the other.
No, it feels incorrect to do it that way. Yeah. So basically anything that came out with Bill Murray in it was a pretty good speaking point for the two of us, but those two are intertwined for me. It's just such overlapping humor. And there's something so warm about like the 70s and 80s summer movies specifically. It's nothing about that is not a feel good situation, even though some of the stuff hasn't aged as well as a lot of these movies are. Like, it doesn't matter because the movie on a whole is just so it's happy memories. They're happy memories. They're ridiculous. They're quotable. They've got a ton of like behind the scenes stories, which is really fun. Documentaries on documentaries. It's those two are next, and we've already gone over for good reasons.
Yeah, Eric and I chat over MSN Messenger, and you can set your name. And so my name is Ty's Massage Oil, and her name is Spalding's Booger. Because when she says we bonded over Caddyshack, we've literally bonded over nothing else, but we definitely bonded over Caddyshack. That's the bridge that connects us. Yeah, so good.
It's the only glue in our friendship.
That's correct.
Jennifer's asking, speaking of Christmas, what's everyone's favorite Xmas movie that is not Die Hard?
Can I go immediately with my next classic? Is Christmas Vacation, which is, again, one of the only things that holds Jeff and I together as friends. I think that one's a given, though, because Chevy Chase and Bill Murray, while they hate each other, have humor that works really well together. So when you're talking about Caddyshack, you then naturally move into Chevy Chase. So
absolutely.
Christmas Vacation, all-time favorite Christmas movie.
Yep.
Jeff, same.
Chat over MSN. What years is it? It's Messenger. Shut up. Okay, I'm old. Fuck off. I didn't say ICQ. Come on. Favorite Christmas movie? Shit. Well, your girlfriend's at the boss of me, so it's still Die Hard. Kiss my ass. Sorry, man.
Fair enough.
Still Die Hard. Yeah.
Die Hard's definitely at the top for me. But 3 or 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago now. No, longer than that. In the last decade, there's a new Christmas horror movie that came out called Krampus. And it's a horror comedy, in the same vein as the Gremlins, let's say. And I fucking love it. I watch it every Christmas. Definitely my favorite Christmas movie. Jennifer says Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. I will die on that hill. Well,
Miley also says Die Hard is not a Christmas movie.
Well, it is a Christmas movie.
You ladies are allowed to be wrong. There's nothing wrong with being wrong.
If a movie ends to a Christmas song, a Christmas carol, which it does, it's a Christmas movie.
Well, the weather outside is frightful.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Corey J. Carter says Krampus is fantastic. It is. That firefight with the gingerbread cookies in the kitchen. I mean, I don't know that I've ever laughed so hard than when I was sitting in the theaters watching that movie for the first time. That was fantastic.
Nice.
I watched it for the first time last year, actually.
Sorry?
Or not the last Christmas. The Christmas before was the first time I'd watched it. I've always been really into the concept of horror movies, but I am highly susceptible to the movie tricks, so soundtracks and things like that. I know what's happening and I know what they're doing, but it works really well. And so because of that, as much as I like horror genre, it's been hard for me to watch, especially on my own. So I have been slowly re-immersing myself in classic ones that I should have already seen by now. And so Krampus and a couple other Christmas related ones were on the docket 2 Christmases ago. And you're right, the gingerbread scene, I bowled over. It's perfect.
Nice. So if there was a Sunday and you were watching TV, you probably saw it almost every Sunday, and I would watch it every time it comes on, and I've watched it so many times since then. But The Hunt for Red October, I hate boats. I don't even like being on the water, but that movie, I get goosebumps just thinking about scenes from that film. It's peak Alec Baldwin. It's peak Sean Connery with, by the way, little trivia fact, $50,000 toupee on that man's head for that film. It's $50,000 toupee for the hairpiece for that particular film.
Wow.
Just Sam Neill, like just an amazingly casted film. Scott Glenn, like everybody's so good. The tension's ramped up so well. And it's just, and again, it's unabashedly just a dude movie. Like, I don't even know if that movie gets made today. It's a guy's guy kind of movie, and it spoke to me in my youth for sure. And even now, it's one of those same thing. Like every few months, I got to throw it on and just relive it, and I still get goosebumps at all the same spots, and absolutely adore it. So
it's funny that in
$50,000 toupee, I can't fathom how. I'm gonna have to look that up later. I've got to know how you even achieve a price point like that.
I would assume it's probably hairs from a child's head.
Individually checked. Yeah,
that's right.
Hairs.
That's right. Yeah. God, we're shit people.
It's funny that with the amount of Jack Ryan movies that we've had over the years, Alec Baldwin was only in the one.
Yep. I think Harrison Ford's the only one that was in two.
He was in three.
Three of them?
Wasn't he in three? He was in Clear and Present Danger. He was in Patriot Games.
I think
and he was in...
Because the Sum of All Fears was like almost like a prequel, because that had...
Sum of All Fears is a prequel.
Like Ben Affleck?
With Ben Affleck.
Right. And then the Jack Ryan Shadow Recruit, that was Chris Pine.
That was Chris Pine.
Yeah, I think Harrison Ford only did the two. And now they have the TV show that's got John Krasinski.
John Krasinski plays a great Jack Ryan
on the TV show. Yeah, I haven't watched.
He's way truer to Jack Ryan from the books. I've read a lot of the Tom Clancy Jack Ryan books.
Okay.
He's way truer to the character of Jack Ryan than anybody else has ever been. Although Harrison Ford was very close. Jack Ryan was never a Chris Pine super spy. He was an analyst. He was a nerd.
Right.
Yeah. Right. So
I think Alec Baldwin does it because he keeps reminding people of that as he's getting himself deeper and deeper into this horrible situation that he's finding himself in, because they keep sending him out because he's just an analyst and he's expendable and but he has his theory. He wants to defect, and then he'll go to the wall for that theory. But yeah, definitely angry Alec Baldwin, which is my favorite Alec Baldwin for sure. So
in the same vein, I got on my list here, and I'm not going in order anymore because you guys are taking me through different streams of thought, but Top Gun. Top Gun is another one of those movies that I've seen 100 times.
What was your call sign? What was when you? Because all the guys assign themselves call signs. So
listen, I wanted to be Maverick. It's that simple. I mean, Tom Cruise made me want to be Maverick. I have not seen. Well, listen, I've been 6'1" since I'm 13 years old, so
I'm just asking questions.
But yeah, I haven't seen the new Top Gun. I think it is out now. It came out last week or 2 weeks ago.
It's reviewing really well.
Apparently, it's really good. But the old Top Gun, that was again one of those, like you say, it's a war movie, but it's a feel good story, right? At the end, it's like, ooh, gets the girl, and he's the guy, and. He doesn't get he's not the winner, but, it still has that feel good. Hey, he did what he set out to accomplish. I loved it.
Yeah. Tim saying Axel Foley made me want to be a wisecracking undercover cop. So Beverly Hills Cop, for those of you that don't know who Axel Foley is.
Top Gun was great. No one looks good too. New one looks good too.
Top Gun trailer for the new Top Gun? I've only seen the trailers so far.
Same.
So I wonder what your thoughts are on the trailer, not having not seen the movie?
It's hard, man. Like I know Miles Teller is playing Goose's son, so and that's the point of conflict. And I
Why?
know they essentially, well, because he blames
Oh
Maverick
yes,
for his
okay, sorry. I
father's
thought
death,
for
right? Yeah,
you
yeah.
that was a point of conflict.
Oh no, no,
Sorry.
no, 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 no! I'm fine with Miles
Sorry.
Teller. I'm fine with them. You know, essentially making it a real life sequel and having the intervening years. So I'm glad that they didn't try to make it a soft reboot or like an alternate whatever. It's just like, yeah, this is the exact same people 30 years later. I would never have thought in a million years you could make it work. I mean, the trailer looks okay. I didn't have any desire to run right out and see it, but now that it's everyone's saying it's great, I don't know. Maybe I'll give it a go. What about you guys? What did you think when you saw the trailer?
I think this is the proper way to do a sequel and introduce a new cast. And it's not by saying, "Oh, the old cast are idiots and they're chumps and they're screw ups and look at these bright new kids." No, they're actually bringing him to be the instructor now. He's the one that has to take them under his wing and do it properly. And I don't know. To me, this looks like a proper sequel, the kind of sequel you would want to see 20 years after. But it's like you say, it's always hard to say, right? You're getting just 2 minutes, not even of little bits and glimpses that they want to show you. So the story really could be completely different than what they're showing us. I do have faith in the fact that the reviews are really good. Everybody seems to think it's amazing. So,
what about you, Erica?
Having seen or seeing some reviews and having you talk about the reviews, that makes me a lot more willing to see it, because I'll be honest, when I saw the trailer in theaters, I saw the theatrical trailer first, and it was like the premiere trailer, etc. I hated the trailer because it was one of the worst produced, not to speak to the movie itself, but as far as producing a trailer goes, it might be one of the worst produced trailers I've seen in a very long time, in that it was what felt like, and I didn't time it, but it might have been the theatrical one, might have been almost 4 minutes, maybe more, of just highlight scenes from the movie. And it was nothing of plot line, nothing of value. I don't even know if they conveyed in the theatrical trailer that Miles Teller was playing Goose's son. I'm not even sure that part was made clear at all. It was just that here's Tom Cruise, he's an instructor, and here's a bunch of people doing push-ups. Here's a bunch of people looking happy. Here's a bunch of people in and out of cockpits. There was absolutely no plot points given. It was just glory shots for a very long time to the soundtrack. And I got bored watching it. It was actually kind of boring. I was just sitting there waiting for my movie. But the reviews are now more promising, and now I am curious, and I think I would be willing to do it. It stuck out in my mind as being, like, normally I don't remember what movie trailers I saw before a movie, but that one, it lives there rent free for how long it was, or how it felt so long.
I feel like it's a subtle science, because we've all seen those trailers too that basically just give you the entire plot of the movie front to back, and you're like, well, what do I got to go see it for? It's just the nuances now. Like, why would you tell me the whole story in a trailer? But now this is the opposite side of the things. Like, guys, we're not going to give you anything but glory shots for 4 minutes.
I think they're riding the high of Top Gun being a cult-ish favorite, in that, it was just glory shots, and there wasn't enough. There had to be a balance, and I feel like they should have been able to come up with one, but there wasn't enough, I don't think. But it looks beautifully filmed because of it.
Yeah, I haven't seen the theatrical trailer. I only saw like the 1.5, 2-minute trailer that went out on YouTube or whatnot. There was also a behind the scenes interview with the cast, and a lot of them were actually in planes.
Yeah, I know Tom
filming Cruise those scenes. Tom Cruise was in a fighter jet filming those scenes. That's why it looks so real, because it's real. They're in there,
because he's a maniac.
He is a maniac.
And a superhero.
So I don't know.
Tim was saying Commando made me want to be a soldier, an unstoppable soldier. It's a very silly popcorn film, but I mean, it was a film of its time for sure.
Yeah,
New Top Gun has decent reviews. The trailer looks cool. Like, the action will bring us back to those cool and unique dogfighting scenes. Agrees. Who cares about the story? Where's Kenny Loggins? You know where Kenny Loggins is. He's in the danger zone. That's how I feel about the Avatar trailer, is what Loki was saying. Yeah, I did see the Avatar trailer, and it's same thing. It didn't really push my buttons. I was like, I don't know what we're doing. with
Yeah.
this. I didn't know. I don't even know if this is necessary. Like,
I know I saw the trailer, but if you asked me to tell you about a single thing in the trailer, I don't think I could. I'm pretty sure there's blue people.
yeah, there's blue
I'm not
people,
even sure if
100%.
this is related to the first one at all.
Well, it's definitely got the same people, like the Jake or whatever, and the Navi girl. Like those.
Does
they're in the
it? Are
trailer.
they the same people in the trailer? Yeah.
I believe so. I mean,
Okay. Well,
I don't want to sound racist. Not like all the blue people look the same, but I mean, it's
Well.
like, you know, I'm pretty sure it's the. I
Fair
know who played the blue lady. Zoe Saldana. She's very, very busy, but the other dude, I don't think he's got a whole lot on the go. So I'm pretty sure they'd be able to get him back for.
Yeah, Tim says Avatar's too late. Like, who cares? Just an action and cool effects. Missed the boat on the fan hype. Yeah, totally. I mean, it's 20 years too late.
They're signed for 5 movies is part of the issue, I think. They shot 2 and 3 congruently, I believe.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And
I
I
heard
think
that. Yeah.
part of why they might have done that is for production costs and the simplicity of it, but also so that they were basically guaranteed to at least have 2 and 3 done in case they performed poorly. Like, talking about movies that shaped us, like seeing the first Avatar as the first real 3D movie. I'll be honest, the plot did absolutely nothing for me. It was a movie I've seen a million times, but the technology, which is what made it one of the best-selling movies in the world, was amazing. I distinctly remember that. I was in the back row of a tiny theater in Cambridge, but it didn't matter. It was so cool.
It was so crazy.
I don't think they can rely on their storylines for these ones as much as they want. And people are over 3D movies now, I think, to a degree.
There's got to be that level of spectacle. Movies. Yeah, because Titanic was the same way. We all know how it's going to end. Everybody knows the boat hits the iceberg, it cracks in half and falls and sinks. But seeing that happen and the way they were able to pull that off technologically was why that movie made $2 billion at the theater back in whenever that came out, right? Because we had to see that. Did you see anything in that trailer that you're like, I have to see that?
No.
It's a Pocahontas story, but new.
That first one was
animated.
Yeah. Whose turn is it? JS, I think it's you.
No, I just brought up Top Gun, didn't I? Oh no, Erica brought up Avatar. Jeff, it's your turn. There you go.
I've got 2 that I'm okay. I have to go with The Matrix because again, same thing. If you had asked me before this whole thing started what your all-time favorite movie is, I would probably say The Matrix. Even though I wasn't into cyberpunk and I wasn't into goth, I wasn't into any of that. Just again, talk about. Do you know what the best part about The Matrix was? That I feel like the sequels and the new reboot or whatever got wrong is you didn't know. Quentin Tarantino even talked about this. You didn't know what in the fuck The Matrix was even going into that film. Like, they gave you enough cool scenery and action shots and badass outfits and beautiful people to draw you to the theater. But the tagline do you remember what the tagline for the movie was?
I don't.
What is The Matrix? That's literally what they had for the tagline. They didn't give you really anything to let you know what it was, but they intrigued you enough that you had to go there to the theater to see what it was. And once you saw it, dude, that movie was, and talk about an influential movie on Hollywood. How many copycat films came out to mimic that style and that look and the color bleed and then bullet time and the action sequences, the wire work and the slow, like everything that film did to influence movies for decades. The movie's still coming out that look like The Matrix. Like, it's bananas how influential that movie was and how impactful that was in Hollywood. But just me in 1999 watching that film at the tender age of, we won't go into that, probably all time.
Invented bullet time too, so you're right. When you say things came out after it, it literally did. So that was fascinating to me. Even
some of the CG work, like when they use the bullet time, there's a particular scene where they're down in the subways and Smith and Neo are flying at each other. And again, this is 1999. The entire scene is rendered. The entire environment is all CG way back then. And I defy you, if you watch that movie in 1999, to tell me that particular scene, that whole scene was CGI. It looked dope. It looked so good. Anyways.
I think it will forever.
Yeah.
We've got Rob online here. It says, my man, Matrix is #1. Rob's a big Matrix fan as well.
Hell yes.
Mike is saying, channel your inner goth, Jeff.
Nah.
I'm
going to stick with Beardy Lumberjack for now.
Loki Quinn Cosplay says, I saw The Matrix in theaters so many times. Yeah, I mean, there's no denying, I think, that Matrix kind of revolutionized movie making when it came to how you film and how you present an action movie. God, I mean, it spawned video games based on the whole bullet time thing. It really was something completely different that we had never seen. That I thought we were going to get with this new one, right? I thought this new one was going to do that again for us, give us something we had never seen before. Alas, it wasn't to be. It was just another friggin' cheaply made reboot.
I haven't seen it. Tim is saying the first Raimi Spider-Man, right up there, mind blower. Had to own it ASAP. Absolutely. The first Jurassic Park. The first Jurassic Park is probably the best made film I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, when you first get that scene of the dinosaurs, it's like, oh my god!
And just
like,
the seamless
they made dinosaurs look real.
Yeah, the interactive, the CG along with the live action stuff, and just the way they. I mean, my goodness! I still go back and watch the lobby scene like every few weeks. Yeah, The Matrix was my first DVD. Yeah, just a fantastic, and I mean, probably miserably failed the Bechdel test, but still, you got, even in 1999, a strong female character that at the time, as far as action movies go, you didn't really get a whole lot of, right? Like everything that spawned after it, you got some copycats, but Trinity in that film, Carrie-Anne Moss, just wrecked and did it so well, and yet still maintain her femininity and still like, yeah, just a fantastic movie all the way around. Anyways, next. Erica?
Never should have made sequels of The Matrix. Yeah, I agree.
I loved Reloaded. I get everybody's problems with Revolutions, but I still loved Reloaded.
Jen says The Little Mermaid was my first VHS. I'm trying to remember what my first VHS was actually Scrooged. Funny enough. That was my first movie on VHS that I owned. Or was it The Abyss?
Oh, I love The Abyss.
It might have been The Abyss. I don't know which one came out first, Scrooged or The Abyss, but those were like my two early VHS movies that I owned. And yes, The Abyss, which is on my list. Might as well talk about it right now.
Oh my god.
The Abyss was
criminally underrated.
Yeah, it was one of those stories that you didn't know what you were getting into when you started watching, and then by the end of the movie, it's completely flipped it on its head for you. Amazing movie.
And again, same thing as far as revolutionary goes. The water tentacle that comes into the room and then shapes the faces of the people that it's seeing to. Nothing up until then had ever been even attempted like that before, to have that level of detail on screen for a completely computer generated image. So that also had some revolutionary pieces. Now, mind you, don't ever look at the behind the scenes of that film, because James Cameron pushed those poor actors to the absolute limit. They hate him to this day for what he made them do on that film, especially the female lead in that movie. She won't even like be in the same room with James Cameron now after what he put her through on that film. So, but yeah, I mean, are you kidding me? Fantastic movie. And yeah, like I said, criminally underrated too.
Michael is saying his first beta was Star Wars, and it cost him $80.
Of course he had a beta. It's Michael. Of course it was a beta. Jeez Louise.
How old are you, Michael?
Betamax. Like, I think he's our age.
Is he?
You didn't have a Betamax?
No, we had a VHS.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, we never owned a Betamax. No.
Oh. My buddy had a laser disc player. That was pretty dope.
A buddy of mine had a laser disc player as well. Yes.
Yes, my friend.
Big discs.
Yeah.
My friends of my parents had beta and laser disc, so I remember watching them there a couple of times. But they were like the tech savvy friends, so it never really made it into our house. We were a VHS family.
Yeah.
I cannot tell you my first VHS because it predates me. I'm sure it's probably something like Teletubbies or Bananas in Pajamas, so I don't think it quite counts. I'm not even sure if I can tell you my first.
The fact that you say that Teletubbies or Bananas in Pajamas or whatever predates you makes me feel very, very, very old, Erica. Very,
Oh,
very
that doesn't
old.
sorry, it doesn't
Thank
predate me.
you.
That might have been one of my first VHS because that would have been what I would have been watching around the time. So VHS predates me is the problem. And DVDs almost they came in around at a point where I wouldn't be able to remember my first DVD. I don't think, but I can tell you my first Blu-ray. It was Cars. It was my
Nice.
first Blu-ray, and it was my first exposure to the concept of Blu-ray. I'd never seen it before, and I distinctly remember it was I think it was the first Blu-ray brought into my house, and my dad, who's a big tech guy, was a non-believer of it. He didn't want to get a Blu-ray player because he didn't see the value in it. He didn't see the value in the DVDs. We thought, what could possibly be better than DVD? How could this improve? And I think we paused that movie maybe 3 or 4 times just to look at the detail on the screen.
Nice.
Because the difference between our Cars DVD and our Cars Blu-ray was crazy.
I remember the first. I don't know if it was the first like VHS we had in the house, but I remember the first VHS movies I owned, like me personally, was a box set of the first 5 Star Trek films. It came in a specific box set. And, JS has got it. Get out on VHS. Look at this shit. Show me, man. I might start crying if you actually hold this up on camera because, okay, it was not that one. That one's cool. Nice.
Oh, wait a second. No, this one's DVD. Sorry.
I was just going to say. So
sorry, I have the VHS. Oh, the VHS box set is... sorry. The VHS box set is downstairs.
Because it was like burgundy in color, and it was only 5. 6 hadn't even come out yet when they released that initially, so it was only up until the first 5. And yeah, I watched the holy shit out of those VHSs.
And when you put the cases together, it's the Enterprise.
Yes. Yeah.
I have that one downstairs on VHS. Yeah.
Dope. Totally dope. I don't know whose turn it is.
I don't know whose turn is it now. What was the last one we talked about? We keep straying off.
I have V on Laserdisc naturally, says Michael, of course. First VHS was TMNT, I believe, says Rob.
Mm-hmm.
The Japanese version with the pins. Okay. Yeah. The first medias. This is hilarious. And now with this physical media just doesn't really, just not a whole lot of that going out there. Now we just buy digital licenses for stuff that the content providers can just take away whenever they want. It's fantastic.
Yeah, you just stream everything now, right? Like what's... Yeah. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I went straight from DVD to downloading.
Right.
I don't own a single Blu-ray or HD DVD or any of that stuff. Why? Just download them and that's that.
Yeah, I've definitely got a lot of Blu-rays still. Maybe rivaling as many DVDs as I have because I ended up getting a... Blu-ray DVD player for Christmas one year or something like that. And I thought it was fascinating that I could play the both. So I held on to that. And then I remember going to the mall after school as a teenager. And because Blu-ray was so popular, Walmart and HMV and Sunrise Records would have all their like $5 DVD bins because they were clearing out all the older format. So I just loaded up on anything I was even remotely interested in seeing. And I don't know if I'll ever get rid of them now because I was a late adopter to streaming and downloading. I never really downloaded, partly because I never had the internet connection for it, and partly because I never wanted to risk a shared computer situation. If I broke my computer, I couldn't fix it. I did not have the wherewithal. So I passed until streaming was an option, and even then, I was late on streaming too. So I just missed. If it wasn't available at HMV, I didn't see it for like a good 7 to 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned that. Jennifer's just saying, I mean, just go back to, I had to explain what a Blockbuster was to my son. It was embarrassing. A lot of people, unless it came out on DVD or VHS to go rent, they just didn't see it, right? Still today, I know people that, they just don't watch movies. They watch whatever comes on TV now because they don't do the streaming or the downloading thing.
I did that up until a couple of years ago. I had cable up until 2 years ago, and I loved just trolling around on cable to see what was playing because it was my favorite thing. And that was the closest I would get to streaming would be on demand and stuff. But I had a Blockbuster gift card that it expired post them closing, but I didn't realize that I could have still used it. And I remember finding it like the year or two after they all shut down, and I was so upset because it was like a $40 gift card. And to think about all of the cheap movies I could have rented for $40, I was so upset.
Right. Because we had Rogers stores here too for a while, and we
had Rogers stores for a while.
Yeah, buy and rent films there too. And the same thing, I remember when those were closing, they were just blowing DVDs out for like nothing. So I bought a bunch of this stuff for the kids. But I would typically do what you do, JS. So they used to have DVD players that would play DivX.
Yeah.
And DivX at the time was like the key compression algorithm for pirated movies. So I would download them, I would burn them onto a disc on my computer.
Gave you an MP4 file and
put it in the DivX player, and the kids would be able to watch it. So anytime a movie came out that was available for download, I would have it for the kids. So the kids kind of got used to doing that, and we just got into that cycle. So I still have hundreds of burned CDs and DVDs kicking around my house right now that will never ever get played anyway. I don't know if I still have a DivX player kicking around or not, but
same. Yeah.
That's what it was.
Same. I used to, when the DVDs came out, with the big rush of the DVDs came out, I had a DVD burner on my PC. So yeah, I would just download them, burn them right to a DVD, and then for sure.
I always lived really close to rentals too, so very different rental places. So we really didn't bother burning anything because I could walk 5 minutes up the road to a mom and pop rental place.
Nice.
Which was nice and cheap. And then on my drive home from school, when my parents would pick me up in the evenings, we could stop. There was always somewhere along the way. So there were a couple of different ones that did like the $2 Thursday night rentals and stuff like that, as long as it was the same, like the 24-hour return. So I watched a lot of B-rate movies that way.
Nice.
Not a B-rate movie, but one that I think was very, very huge for. I mean, I know me and you, Jeff, when we were kids, was Batman.
Of course. Oh, are you
Batman
kidding me?
89. We talked
Eric
about it a little bit. Yeah, we talked about it
the
a
biggest
little
Batman
bit.
fan ever.
Well, a couple episodes ago when Erica was here, we're doing our Batman chat. Batman 89 was the first time we got to see Batman on the big screen. Well, the first time I got to see Batman on the big screen. I don't know if there was ever anything else before that.
So here's my little controversial take on that. Do you find that first film holds up well? Because I struggle with it a little bit now that I did not struggle with it when I was younger. Erica's already laughing at me like, you son of a bitch.
I'll let Erica answer that one.
Yeah. Roll your eyes at me, Missy. You go right ahead.
I want to know why. Why are you struggling? Like, what in particular are you having a hard time with?
I think it really is Tim Burton's style. It's a little too... What's the word I'm looking? It's a little too Tim Burton. I don't know any other way to describe it. It's a little too over the top. It's a little too like, now that we've had more and more serious, grounded Batman since then, I think if I don't see the Nolan trilogy and I don't see the Pattinson Batman, I think the first Batman probably still holds up fine. But now that I can see what could have been, and is even as dark as Burton tried to make it, it's very much a take on The Dark Knight Returns. It's still to like the Prince soundtrack and all the bright colors and the fancifulness and the dancing and everything else. Like, it just, for me, I don't know. It's too Tim Burton. I can't think of another way to describe it. I
think the gothic campiness is my best way of describing Tim Burton's, is what makes it hold up for me still. I think that's also part of why I liked Pattinson as Pattinson, was because of the more modern Batmans, he was the most theatrical. And it wasn't goofy or anything, but it was definitely more theatrical. And it's because I was influenced by 89 Batman. If I were in my living room, I have that movie poster from a Sunrise Records, like the large format hanging in the living room. It was bright and colorful in a different way. Like, it's definitely a Tim Burton movie. You can get that from watching it. But it has the same kind of whimsy that all of his other movies do in a different story, which was cool, I thought, because I'm a big Tim Burton fan in general. Those were some influential movies for me in general. And I think that making it fun and out of this world and ridiculous kind of helps it deal with some of the lines that didn't quite age well, and some of the effects that didn't quite make it, and the fact that his cowl's so bulky and he can't, like, there's a lot of production value things that are lower because it was shot in 89, and it didn't have a massive original budget, and it was shot really quickly, etc., etc. So being over the top helps it. Also, I'm an Adam West Batman fan as well too. I just love the idea of a superhero that's got such a tragic and dark story, but then has like ridiculousness attached to it. I think that's what makes it go on.
That's fair. And I want to make sure that we're clear. I'm not saying I don't like it or I hate it or any of those noise. Just as I've gone back to rewatch it, getting back into all the Batman stuff, like as far as like Beetlejuice goes, because that is already supposed to be quirky and wild and crazy and colorful and silly and stupid and everything else, his style really works. Edward Scissorhands, another one. His style works brilliantly. But for Batman, for me, I don't know. I guess after The Dark Knight Returns, for me, everything was like, no, man. I want a violent, brooding, dark knight. That's what I want, and that's not what we got in 89.
You're right, but in 89, he wasn't the dark, brooding Dark Knight. He was the Detective Comics, more...
World's Greatest Detective.
Ninja than... Yeah, he wasn't that character yet, right? I mean, I understand what you're saying. At that point, I don't feel like Batman was that. That's the one thing about Batman that we got to keep in mind is he changes a lot over the decades, right?
And that's what I was trying to reference with The Dark Knight Returns, because Dark Knight Returns, he was different, all over the map. But I mean, Burton did say Dark Knight Returns. That's why he's got the fully black suit and not like the gray. That's why he's got the gravelly voice. It's why he doesn't have a lot of lines. That's why he's not campy. He's not Adam West. I love Adam West too, but that show was supposed to be campy and over the top and silly and crazy and everything else, right? Whereas you feel like Burton kind of wanted to take this a little more seriously, but then kind of couldn't help himself to Burtonize it a little bit too much. And then the Danny Elfman soundtrack, along with the Prince soundtrack, again, same thing, really didn't lend itself to any level of... Anyways, I'm so sorry we're getting caught up on this. I didn't mean for this to be a...
No, that's okay. And
Batman 89. I'm not saying it doesn't hold up, guys, and I'm not saying I don't like it. I loved it at the time. I still love it now. Just now, I have some struggles with some specific aspects of it that I didn't have back in 89 when I first watched it, because I lived it in 89 when it came out. I had the shirts, I had the soundtrack, even though it was Prince, and I didn't like Prince. I had the movie, everything. Loved it. So don't come at me.
See, it's funny because I'm more with Erica on that, the fact that Sorry, Erica, were you saying something?
Sorry, I was just saying it depends on the type of Batman you want now, too, because now you've been spoiled for choice with different types, too, so I think that makes it different.
Fair enough.
Well. Yeah, I see your points.
I'm kind of on Erica's side of the fact that Burton-esque quality of the movie, for me, is what makes it still relevant today. The Joel Schumacher movies are silly. The Tim Burton movies are Tim Burton movies. That's kind of the way I see it. So I get what you're saying. It's not that brooding, hardcore. It's definitely not the Pattinson or the Christian Bale Batman, that's for sure. Or the Ben Affleck, for that matter. But he was a Batman for a different time, right?
Yep. Agreed.
So.
Yep. I regret bringing it up. Anyways.
So we're a minute. We're an hour and 7 minutes in. Is there anybody that wanted to bring any last movies before we end this?
Our esteemed guest.
I think we've somehow managed to talk about everything that I had brought to the table mentally, even if we just briefly mentioned it, like briefly mentioning Beetlejuice, because that one was on my list as well too, hence why I brought the mug down. I didn't write things down. I should have. I had a mental list going, but I'm pretty sure we ticked all of my main talking point boxes. A lot of campy 80s movies and a lot of weird goth kid movies. That's a lot of it.
For me, the only one that we didn't get to, the only two of them, I guess, would be Superman 1 and Superman 2, the Christopher Reeve Superman films from the late 70s and early 80s that were, again, same thing. Superman 2, I've watched hundreds and hundreds of times. I was listening to the Superman theme song as I was coming home from work today on my headphones and just like chest out and like, I'm sorry, I'm gonna get emotional if I talk about it too much. Like I just loved those first two films so much. We get an origin story. Christopher Reeve just absolutely embodies the role like nobody. I love me some Henry Cavill, but nobody has played Superman the way Christopher Reeve plays Superman. And those two films, and then the second one with the Kryptonians and Zod and Non, and just and Gene Hackman. I mean, everything about all those movies, even Ned Beatty playing his Goofy and Miss Tessmacher, everything, dude. I got no words.
You want to talk about movies that are on television all the time, or at least used to be? Superman 2 was on TV all the time for me as a kid. I've seen it more than I've seen any other Superman movie ever.
Mm-hmm. Even one got on a lot because they would show it in over 2 nights, and they would always end the first night on the helicopter scene. Because that's the first time you actually see him as an adult Superman, and she's all like, "You got me, who's got you?" And that's actually, you don't even see that. You see the helicopter falling, and then they would cut, and you'd have to wait until the next night or the next week to see how it turned out. So loved it, man. Ugh.
Yeah, Superman 1 and 2 were on my list. The only one we haven't talked about is Tron.
Oh.
Tron visually was
crazy.
I mean, as a kid, it blew my mind.
Yeah.
Again,
did you like
one of those?
Did you like the sequel?
I did.
Yeah.
I wasn't a huge fan of them actually bringing back. Oh wow! I can't believe
Jeff Bridges.
Jeff Bridges. I forget. I'm trying to remember the character's name now. I forget his name. We're bringing him back as a CG younger version of himself because it wasn't quite. It didn't look quite right.
No, the technology wasn't there yet.
No, it didn't look quite right, and I almost wish they had found a way to not bring him back at all. I understand it's not technically him. It's the program that looks like him, but still. Actually, that's not true. You actually do see him as a younger version of himself, either at the beginning or the end. I forget now.
The beginning.
At the beginning.
Yeah.
The rest is the game, right? The game version of him.
Yep.
But yeah, it.
No, the original Tron is crazy. Yeah, it's such an achievement as far as visual effects go at the time. So, and some very, very, very early computer effects. So, yeah, very cool.
We've got a bunch of comments here. Let me see if I can go back here. Loki Queen Cosplay says I still watch my DVDs. Jennifer says I'm now an adult memory. When I turned 18, it was when I went and bought a scratch lottery ticket, then straight to the local video rental store and got my own card. That's when she knew she made it. 89 Batman is relevant because it is stylized. There you go. Ill-gotten hugs.
I knew I was going to get some lumps on that one, so that's okay.
Yeah. The stream just reset and I lost all the comments.
I'm
having some issues with
the modern films made to be modern. I don't think will hold up in 30 years' time. I could not disagree with you more, but that's okay. That's all right. Top movie you'd love to see redone, not a sequel, but redone. So that's a question for you. Michael said Tron boner. So clearly he's also a Tron fan. I would love for Beetlejuice to be redone. Loki Quinn
is saying, a Beetlejuice remake. That'd be amazing.
Alien should be up there. I would argue Alien and Aliens.
Yes.
Both are insanely great movies.
Yes.
And even though they're two completely different films. And Gremlins, Rob was saying as well, the original Gremlins.
Yeah,
for sure. No,
Gremlins 1. Gremlins 2 was, but Gremlins 1 was amazing.
Worthy additions for sure. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Beetlejuice. I know Kevin Smith was talking about how they were planning on doing a sequel, like a direct sequel to Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian is what they were calling it for some crazy. And that got, I know you're furrowing. Like that got into the development stage. It got fairly late in the development.
Yeah, keep Kevin Smith away from Beetlejuice. Yeah.
I don't know, man. I know I watched a really cool documentary called The Death of Superman Lives, I think it was called. Anyways, it was supposed to be what was going on with Tim Burton's Superman film when he cast Nick Cage. And when that first all started to get talked about, everybody was like, that would be the worst film ever. But then when you see that, when you watch that documentary and they go into all the detail as to what they plan to do, you're like, you know what, this might not have been that bad.
Yeah, this could have been pretty good. Yeah. Jennifer also says Gremlins needs to be redone. I disagree. Gremlins need a part 3. Gremlin needs a technology part 3. Still using practical effects. The same way that Fraggle Rock. You guys seen that Fraggle Rock has been revived on Apple TV? all using the exact same practical effects from back in the 80s. They needed gremlins like that, for sure.
Yeah, I think I don't have an answer to that question because I am of the mindset that redoing movies almost never works. I don't know if I can think of an example where a remake of a movie that I enjoyed, I liked more than the originals, other than, I don't know, maybe I can't even say like Mad Max because I don't know if I liked it more than the originals, but it was redone. Or Dune, for example, I haven't even seen it yet. I still don't know if I'm gonna like it more than the first. I have a different. I can't see redos. I can see sequels. So yeah.
So if you've liked the original
but
Dune, that should actually have been on my list now that you mention it. If you were a fan of the original Dune, you will like the new one. You're going to want to wait till part 2 is out before watching it. That's my only gripe with the first movie is you only get half of the story. So wait till the second.
Fucking
it's amazing.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's amazing. Oh. Yeah.
They were able to. I've been putting off seeing it.
Yeah, it's wicked. You're not gonna regret it. You're gonna love it. I'm pretty sure if you like the first one, you're gonna like this one. Definitely.
Mm-hmm. I don't think I have an other than I would like to see there are certain things I would like to see more of that we haven't seen yet, but I don't know about a redo. That's interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I would have to really give that a lot of thought. That would have to be like tune in next week. We'll leave you on a cliffhanger as to maybe we'll start next week's podcast with the
movies we would like to see remade,
redone. Because I'm with Erica too. Like I still remember when they tried to redo Total Recall, and I was like, what are you fucking doing? Like, the first one is such an amazing film, a classic, another revolutionary film that had amazing practical effects and visual effects that nobody had seen or done before. Peak classic Arnie, all the cool one-liners. Why in the name of all that is decent and holy would you try to remake it? And then they remake it and it's dog shit. But if they hadn't tried to shoehorn in, if they hadn't tried to make it just a remake of Total Recall, if they just made it its own standalone sci-fi actioner, I think it would have been a decent film. But because it's supposed to live up to the original Total Recall and it doesn't at all, even close, you're like, who decided this was going to be a thing? This is
RoboCop in that same category.
Oh, awful. So bad. I love Joel Kinnaman, but holy shit.
Yeah, that wasn't very... I mean, it wasn't horrible. Let's be honest. Yeah, it was better than Total Recall.
Was it?
But it wasn't a proper reboot of... I'll say this. I'm usually the kind of person that prefers getting a part 2 or 3 or like a continuation of the story rather than a reboot. I tend to not like reboots because, like you say, you're just trying to rewrite the same story, but in a different way. Well, then if you're telling a different story, why are you using the name?
Yeah.
Like, if you want to tell a different story than the RoboCop story, why are you calling it RoboCop?
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand that. Call it something else. Make it something else. Or make it a continuation. Make it RoboCop 3. Technically, there is a RoboCop 3, but you know what I mean, right? Like, make it something else.
But if you're going to do it, you have to Dune. Like, if you're going to do it, you have to go.
Yeah, have to go all out. Yes.
You can't half-ass it like they did with the everything you just said. They completely half-assed it. You've got to like invest the time, invest the money, get somebody that's super passionate about it, that wants to do better, that wants to really, you know what I mean? Because otherwise, you just get all the garbage that you just mentioned that we did not need.
Yeah.
Reboots are fan fiction with budget, and no one can tell me otherwise.
No one's going to argue with you on this channel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say in general, reboots are typically very, very hard to swallow. Dune is one of those that is the rare exception. Yeah. It's the one. I mean, there have been others that have been good. Gone in 60 Seconds.
Oh, and
the
Ocean's
Nick Cage
11,
version is way better than the original version. You know,
and Ocean's 11,
Ocean's 11, Walking Tall. I mean, there are some that are better than the originals, but typically they don't really work. Especially if it was a movie that had a giant following, and then you turn around and screw it up. What's like, well,
although Loki Quinn's comment about the new Scream movie nailing it as a genre and legacy movie, that I agree. That one was a way, talking about sequels, that was a good way to not just make a sequel, but like completely rebring it without ignoring the original subject matter. That was great. They did a great job.
Nice.
Yeah, she says legacy movies are way better for sure. I don't know if you watch the new Scream. I have not, but they define it and nail it. Yeah, the new Scream is just that. They bring back some of the original characters, launching a whole new cast of characters. So it's a continuation of Scream. It's not a full reboot of Scream. I feel like that's usually a better way to do it as well.
Sidequels, I've heard it referred to before.
Yeah.
I'm here for that kind of stuff too. That's better. If there's a passing of the torch, I'm good with that
for sure. Yep. Hey guys, we've been on for quite a while. The old man has to go to bed here because he's working early tomorrow morning. So, Erica, before we do log off, anything you want to pitch to the fine folks? There's still 8 people watching us. I'm surprised that they stuck with us this long, but.
Nothing I can pitch, but I did notice my dad just started watching the stream a couple minutes ago. Dad, you have terrible timing. My dad Peter's here as we are ending. So I would like to dedicate my talking about campy 80s movies to him and to watching things like Caddyshack and Meatballs. And I'll dedicate my friendship with Jeff to my dad. And I will let him know when this is on YouTube so he can rewatch what he's already missed.
He should be able to rewatch it right once it's done. It'll be on YouTube at the Geeks and Company as well as on Jeff's Instagram. So you can watch it this format or this format.
Yeah.
Mr. Jeff.
Same things I mentioned last week. So the big one coming up is on May 29th here in London, Ontario. It's the cystic fibrosis, the walk to make CF history. So I'm going to be there as Spider-Man for a few hours in the morning, starting at 8:30, and probably at least 2 or 3 hours there, just going on the walk, entertaining the kids, having fun, taking pictures, all that kind of stuff. Lots of high fives to hand out. And then Niagara Falls Comic-Con, June 3rd, 4th, and 5th. I'm going to be there all 3 days with Michael will be there, and Crazy Mike will be there with me, and we're going to do some, and Robbie, a longtime collaborator with the show. I didn't see Robbie tonight, actually. That's weird.
No, you're right.
Always, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. He wasn't on.
Yes, he and I are doing Riker and Wesley on Friday.
Oh,
so
nice.
We get a lot of Shut Up Wesleys into them.
Very nice.
Myself, Crazy Mike, Art of the Con, our friend Doug, Loki Quinn, and Sarnia Assassin, which is her dude. We're going to be doing a big Watchmen group on Saturday, so
cool.
That should be fun. And then Sunday, the Channel 4 news team assembles. We're going to be doing Anchorman on Sunday, so should be good. Erica was kind enough to help me with my Ron Burgundy wig, so I'll be debuting that cosplay for the first time. It should be lots of fun.
You guys have been working on that for a while now, haven't you?
Yeah, Lindsay's been very, very hyped on that one. So hopefully, fingers crossed, it's going to go well.
Yeah, she's been posting pictures for months.
Yeah, she's all in.
Consider it my formal apology to the public for bringing that wig to life.
I paid you well for it. It's worthy of you and the public and of all of our times and efforts, and I will hear no arguments to the contrary.
Well, I got no big events coming up, but I may actually be starting working on a brand new cosplay over the next few days. I want to have a couple of extra cosplays for Fan Expo, so I would love to do a Sinister Six.
Who
am I going to be doing?
Ooh, yeah.
Should I say? I want to do a Doc Ock cosplay.
You have to. I was just going to say, if you're not doing Doc Ock, why are you wasting?
I want to do a Doc Ock cosplay. Yeah, I want to make the arms. Is really what I'm all about. I want to make the crazy arms, and
you would murder as Doc Ock.
So that's what I want to do. That I would love to do a Sinister Six. I don't know who would be interested in being in on that, but hopefully I can convince my buddy Rob over here to do one of the Spider-Man villains. That'd be
Sinister
pretty
2.
Cool. The Sinister 2. There you go. That works.
Yeah. Nice.
Yes. But beyond that, I got a bunch of content coming out over the next couple of weeks. I don't know if you guys saw. I released a brand new video just this week where I unboxed Fire and Steel's Mjolnir. Fire and Steel's it's like a shop out here in Mississauga, and they sell replica toys and statues and busts and weapons and so on and so forth. I've got an Iron Man bust unboxing coming out next week. I've got a bunch of new Geek Tests videos with me and my buddy Rob where we're trying out different things and unboxing mystery stuff. So that's coming out as well. So it's a busy time of year. So we've got a lot of stuff going on in and out of the house. But I think that's going to be it for tonight. Again, thanks everybody who's stuck through this with us. I really appreciate it. I say it every week, but I'm still going to keep saying it. I love being able to interact with people on Instagram Live. It's amazing. I wish you guys actually came on YouTube so we can actually show your comments up on screen, but I get it. It's just easier to watch it on your phone. But I really appreciate it anyway. Erica, thank you so much for coming back. For sure, we're going to have you back again. Oh, yeah, you're on mute right now.
There we go. Yep. Thank you for having me. I'd love to come back and keep somehow bringing Batman into every conversation.
Hey, that works for me.
Yeah, this was not my fault.
It's true. We'll have responsibility for that one for sure.
Let's bring Batman into the conversation. There you go. Hey, well, listen. Thanks everybody for what's that? Sorry. Oh yeah, here he is.
Don't play that game. I have an entire shelf to the right of me of Batman paraphernalia.
My suit is on a plane right now as we speak on its way.
It's done.
So, it's done. Yes, it's done and shipped. It is. The Canada Post is waiting to get it from Germany. So
you have to shoot me some pics when the suit comes in.
Of course.
I want to see what that looks like for sure.
Of course. You'll
Definitely.
be the first.
Excellent.
I mean, you'll be like the 17th, but that's fine.
Well, I know where I send in the totem pole. That's okay.
That's right.
That's okay. Hey, everybody who's watching here on YouTube and on Facebook, make sure you click that like and subscribe button. It really, really helps us out. But I think that's going to be it for this week. Thanks for watching, everybody. Stay geeky. We'll see you next week. I lost my mouse. There we go.